Good morning and Shabbat Shalom to everybody. This is Bill Bullock, and I'm coming to you live from the Biblical Lifestyle Center in Texarkana, USA. It is a beautiful Shabbat morning here, and I pray it will be the same wherever you are through this day. This is our last, final episode of the journey for 5784, the Hebrew year 5784, which we've been in, and it's just concluding. And so, what I would want to tell you is this will be our last installment of the series we've entitled A Few Quality Moments Around the Shabbat Table with the Rabbi's Son. Now, don't worry, don't forget, don't fret at all, because that doesn't mean we're going to quit our studies. It means we're going to have a whole new theme for the coming year. This next pass through the Torah. We will have a new theme, and I'll introduce it to you at our next time together. So, till then, let's just relax and enjoy. Think about all that we've learned in this past year. Think about all the changes and transformations that have taken place within us and within our world over the past 12 months. And the trauma and yet the sense of transcendence. We will overcome. We will transcend. We always do, because that's the plan of the Creator for us. So, a few quality moments around the Shabbat table with the Rabbi's Son. I hope it's been a blessing to you this year. It has certainly been a pleasure for me to do it. So let's take a few moments here. Take a breath, as it may need be. Grab a cup of coffee or tea or something that you might like to drink. Have a place in an easy chair if you can find one, or at a table with your computer before you, however you wish to do it. Maybe even driving down the road if that's what you're doing. And let's have a few quality moments together. One last time in this series. The Parsha that we will study this week, that we will be discussing and will make up our conversations this week, is called Ha'azinu. It is the 53rd of the 54 Parshas. For us, this is the basically the end of the road, the grand finale. Every musical, every great opera has a finale, a song at the end. The crescendo's already taken place. Now we gather the characters back on the stage and we sing one last song together, and that's today. That's our message, and that's our discussion today. Ha'azinu. Ha'azinu. In English, we usually translate it as give ears, or we give our ears. It just really means the perking of the ears, the turning of the attention, and the focus of all things being brought together on one thing. Like when you make a sound, and if you have a pet and a pet dog, it lifts his ears, it perks his ears. That's ha'azinu. Are you listening? Perk up your ears. We have something to say. We have a song to sing before we go. We have a song for prodigals and for pilgrims along the pilgrim way. Get ready. Ha'azinu. It's all found in Deuteronomy chapter 32. There's 52 verses of this great song and this great story, this great parsha. Ha'azinu. Are your ears attuned, and are they ready? Well, let's spend some time together around the Shabbat table. Ha'azinu. This is our story, all encapsulated into a final number. This is our song, an anthem for prodigals and for pilgrims throughout all ages as they go back home, as we go back to the beginning, the point of beginning. And go back to the beginning, and the Holy One created Hashemayim, the heavens, and Haaretz, the earth. And we'll see that beginning phrase, those phrases repeated, and it's all bringing us back to our beginning, when the Holy One created the heavens and the earth, created man, and breathed his life into him. This season that we're in is all about recapturing, remembering, returning to the sweetness of that intimate relationship, of that bond we had with the Creator, that closeness we felt, and that sense of purpose and destiny and blessing that we felt. This is what this season is all about, and that's what this song is all about as well. So why a song? We've gone for 52 weeks. We've had all sorts of things. We've had all sorts of messages and stories. And why at the end are we going to have a song, a shirah in Hebrew? Shirim, which is the plural form of shir or shirah, Shirim are vehicles of transcendence. Songs that take you out of your current situation, give you perspective on the past, help you relive it in a sense, but also give you a sense of your destiny and your purpose, and help you to get an advance payment, a down payment, a sense of where you're going, and that are vehicles of transcendence. If you understand even the secular songs like Dust in the Wind, that's a song of transcendence. By the old song by Kansas, or Time in a Bottle by Jim Croce. I'm just using a few secular examples. I could go further with different secular songs that try to pick you up out of the normal daily activities and take you on a journey through time, traveling through time, as it were, and space, continuums, to understand there's more to life than just what you see in front of your face. So, what are shirim? A shirim is a vehicle of transcendence. Because shirim, which is a combination of melody and lyric and delivery and a receipt by the hearer, shirim have a power that is greater than spoken words. Spoken words are powerful. We've heard about devarim, words spoken that have power and the impact and the weight of the glory of heaven upon them. Shirim have even greater power on the human soul, and perhaps on creation and the material aspects of creation, than even spoken words do. That's saying something, because all things have come about by virtue of the spoken word. Now, the end result will come about by virtue of the song. So what do the shirim do? What are the vehicles of transcendence that we use? As melodies combined with lyric, combined with an expression by the singer, combined with a receipt by the receiver, by the hearer. What do shirim do? They have a power that is greater than spoken words to do what? One, to awaken the neshama in man, the God-breathed spirit of Genesis 2:7. Songs, this combination that we talked about, shirim, vehicles of transcendence, awaken the neshama, the eternal part of us. And they override the pressure, the urgency of the basar, the flesh, and what it wants and what it desires. Override the emotions and the attitudes and the agendas of the nefesh, of the mind, will, and emotions of the body, of the soul, and the spirit, the flesh. They override those. They awaken the neshama. So when Moshe begins to sing his great song of transcendence, the song of Moshe, which will be sung in the heavens along with the song of the Lamb, according to Revelation chapter 15. When this begins to take place, it awakens the neshama. May your neshama come alive and come awake even as we speak about this song, much less as you begin to hear it in your spirit. And then the second thing, beyond awakening the neshama, which is to evoke an emotional response that overrides your fleshly emotions. I call it emotional and a response basically because it tells the story without explaining the mechanics of it. Our emotional responses are all based upon sensory perceptions or stimulations. But spiritual emotional response, if that's the right term for it, and it's probably not, spiritual senses and feelings, they come from the neshama, reaching out and seeing what needs to be done and where this is going and getting a picture and imagery. So emotional response is evoked that overrides your sensory emotions: anger, offense, sadness, bereavement, grief, jealousy, envy, lust. All these things are overridden when the neshama is awakened and the emotional response of heaven begins to break forth within you. The third thing, after awakening the neshama and evoking an emotional response that overrides the fleshly responses of the emotions and the will, is that the songs, shirim, teach words and vocabulary, implant thoughts, and awaken memories and emotions into both one's conscious and subconscious. They don't just awaken the neshama, they cause the neshama's ways and the neshama's thoughts to impact and forever change the DNA levels of the flesh and the spirit. Shirim, songs, as we talk about them in the Hebrew sense. Songs have the power to touch and restore the soul. Perhaps you remember when Saul, the first king of Israel, was in a fit of depression, demonically inspired oppression and depression. They called for a young man. They called for a young psalmist, a young one who played the harp. They called for David, as we know him in English. They called for David to come and play his songs for him. Because why? Because when David played the harp and whatever he sang, the psalms of David came forth in the castle, in the palace, in the throne room, in the chambers of the king, it filled the atmosphere and awakened the neshama and Shaul and quieted the flesh and quieted the demons that oppressed the flesh. And his spirit would be restored. It says, same thing with regard to the prophet Elisha. Elisha would call for a harpist to play so that the prophetic spirit could rest upon him in fullness. See, there's a special power in Shirim, in songs, Hebrew songs. Human brains, you see, were hardwired by their Creator. He designed us and he knows what will work with us. So he designed our brains in such a way to respond to song like nothing else. Melodies, especially when coupled with lyrical words that are sung to that melody, activate a part of the brain, the Valley of Song it's called actually in some scientific text, activates a part of the brain that signals to us how valuable and desirable or important things are. Something is or some things are. It awakens the value section of our brain, reprioritizing things. It causes us to transcend the normal. Singing songs and hearing songs thus has the ability to impact us and actually reprogram our brains from the dark ways in which they tend to go in the fallen world to the higher ways, the greater pathway, the pathway of more excellence. So they impact us and reprogram our brains. And songs can transcend negative emotions, as we said, like fear and anger and jealousy and disappointment, bereavement and bitterness. And they can awaken our spirit, awaken us to and ingrain in us thoughts that we didn't think ourselves, things that come from the neshama. Words that we didn't make up in our own mind. Words that come out of the spirit realm and come into and have a healing power to them, a creative power to them. Words like that, words of Elohim, the creator of the universe. And words, and also these songs can build images, build motion pictures in our memory banks in ways that no other form of communication does. Wow, songs are powerful things. Think of a lullaby. Why does a mother or a father sing a lullaby to the child? Not just to make them go to sleep. Something happens inside to make them, something comes up, dopamine or something comes out. There's a hormonal release in the child. That's just in the flesh level, but at the spirit level, they know everything is okay. Everything is all right. And that sense of shalom comes into their spirit and they can sleep. Think about how we use the alphabet song to teach the alphabet. Why not just say A, B, C? No, we A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You understand we're using the idea of the melody combined with the lyric in such a way that awakens something within the child and stirs teaching and learning and memory. And we even use things like Itsy Bitsy Spider. The Itsy Bitsy Spider went up the water spout. Down came, now we're teaching prepositions to our children. They don't even know that we're teaching them. We think we're just singing a silly song about a spider. We're teaching them about rain. We're teaching them about how spiders operate. We're teaching them how the creation functions. Oh, this is amazing how you see this happen. National anthems. Think about the power of a national anthem. Even if it's hated, it creates a stir one way or the other. An alma mater of a school, or a fight song of a team, of a sports team from a school. Think about musicals. Well, this is the Holy One's musical, Shir HaMoshe, the song of Moshe. So we're going to see that songs can unearth that deep within us that allows us to transport in mind through time and space, backwards or forwards or both, to specific times and specific places that we have seen or that we have never seen or we wish to see, to places we desire to go. Songs have that power. We actually experience a gentle high when there's a song sung by someone that we love, someone that we trust. Songs help us to experience emotion and affection at a level and shalom at a level we cannot do with mere conversation or even gifted oratory. They stir us also to bind together communally. They create esprit de corps. We all sing the same song and it binds our hearts and souls together. Now, when the Hebrew soul longs to break free of the gravitational pull of earth and its urgencies, the flesh, its cravings, what happens? What does the Hebrew soul do? It modulates, it raises up, it lifts up a song. That's what Moshe is doing now. He's taken us, he's shown us pathways. He's given us his last mitzvah. It's the Hakahal, gathering together every 7 years to read the Torah all the way through. He's given us his scrolls. He's given us the charge, the challenge of choosing life. He's given us all these things, and now as he begins to break free from the gravitational pull of earth and mortal life, and he is in his last day of life, he modulates into this pilgrim's, prodigal's song of the ages, the song of the pilgrimage. And the sages take note that there are 10 times in Scripture, there may be actually more, but there are 10 times that are noted that Torah breaks out of normal oratory and breaks into songs. Now, I think there's more, but let's just talk about these 10. There's the oppression lament in Egypt, where the people cried out after the death of Pharaoh, the Pharaoh oppression. The oppression lament, it became like a song, a cry out. And this song awakened. He heard the song. The Holy One in heaven heard the song, and the heavens heard the song. And he responded. I just refer you to Exodus 2:23-25 for that. The second of the great songs is more particularly known by us, the Song of the Sea, Exodus 15, the ecstatic experience of spontaneous eruption of song that came forth after we found the Egyptians that had pursued us and wanted to commit genocide against us had been destroyed, and they would never again harass us or oppress us or threaten our children with extinction. Well, that was the Song of the Sea, Exodus 15. The third of the songs, intervals of Torah, is the song at the well, Numbers 21. When in the wilderness, when we finally reached a point of balance, where we were beginning to actually be on the positive side of things after all of our complaining when we first started in the wilderness, we got through and we could actually sing a song to the well. Rise up, O well, spring up, O well. In this Numbers 21 song, there's a place of transcendence. We sing, we rise up and break free of the gravitational pull of earth and modulate into song. The fourth of the songs is the Song of Moshe, which we'll study today. We read about and talk about in our private discussions and public discussions after they get through with a few quality moments around the Shabbat table with the rabbi's son. And then there's the fifth song, will be Devorah's song of Deborah, as it's called in the Western world, Judges chapter 5, after the great conquest, the deliverance conquest, the time of Deborah and Barak. And then there's Hannah's song, the song of transcendence of the barrenness, when Hannah was able to actually conceive and was promised a child. And Hannah, a song in 1 Samuel 2. And then there's the great Song of David, accompanied by so many different psalms, but the great Song of David, 2 Samuel 22. And then there's the Song of Solomon, at the greatest height of the empire, of the fullness of all that the Holy One had promised, the picture of the Messianic kingdom to come. In that time, the Song of Solomon, Shir HaShirim, the calling to the Shulamite, to the foreigner, to come and join in this great vision, this great mission. And then the Song of the Vineyard in Isaiah 5, 1-7, the Song of Messiah in the suffering servant Messiah, turning into the great Redeemer King Messiah, Isaiah 42, beginning 1-20, and continuing basically all the way through the rest of the book of Isaiah, the Song of Messiah. Oh, there are more songs in the Scripture, but you understand, song is something that helps us to break free of the gravitational pull of the earth. And whenever the Hebrew soul longs to do that, we break into a song, we modulate into a song. So Moshe is at the end of his life, his last day of life, And he's going to teach us a song. He's going to sing us a song. He's going to go from camp to camp, from clan to clan, from tribe to tribe, from part of the encampment to part of the encampment. He's going to go to person, look them in the eyes and sing them a song. Sing us a song, because it's as if we're there with him as well. Moshe is going to teach us to sing this song. And we will take it with us wherever we go as we freewheel through human history. As we go through all the nations and the tribes and the millennia of time, this is the song that we will remember. It is imprinted upon our DNA. It is caught up in our memory, even if it happened long before we were ever born or thought of. This is the song we sing. This is our story. This is our song. In no generation will we completely lose sight of or get disconnected from it. This is his prophetic end game. What is the intended purpose Moshe has? You might ask yourself, as he begins to sing this song. Why is he doing this? Why didn't he just sing it to himself? Why did he actually record it and write it down? Well, he tells us that in chapter 31, last week. In chapter 31, verses 21 through 22, Moshe told us why, the purpose of the song. He says, "It will come to pass when many evils and troubles have come upon them," being us. "When these many evils and troubles have come upon them, then this song will testify against them as a witness. For it will not be forgotten in the mouths of their seed." And therefore Moshe wrote this song the same day, and he taught it to Bnei Israel, the seed, the sons of Israel. Well, shirim bypass reason and aid memory and build community. A shirah is a song that gets stuck in your head, that you can't get out of your head. That's the whole point, is it's so catchy, it's so powerful, it does something to you inside, but you just can't get it out of your head. That's what Moshe is saying is going to happen with his song, with the song we're going to be focusing on in this section of a few quality moments. You see, songs are messages and mediums of ascendance and transcendence. A shirah or a shir is a song that's sung by someone who's on a journey. They may not even know they're on a journey, but it's part of something bigger than they know they're part of it. But they're now being called to be participants. It's a traveling song, like a song sung by a minstrel or a band of minstrels that are leading a band of pilgrims around. It has cadence. It has helps us to maintain focus on what's going on, really, what's bigger than what we're seeing, and it helps us to instill a sense of both excitement and esprit de corps, feel like we are part of a great movement. So what is this song? Moshe's song. Well, you think, well, okay, what all could he sing? He sings so much. He could say so much in a song, but he chooses very precise language. Every word, every phrase, every subtle change in pronoun that he uses, and timing, his sequencing that he uses, is designed to awaken something in the neshama. So what's the Cliff Note version of this song? What's he going to tell us about? What's this song going to be about? Well, let me give you the story in Cliff Note version. The drama has a female lead, known by the name Israel, or a code name. It has a code name or kind of a other name, Yeshurun. Yeshurun, we can talk about what that means. Maybe you will do that in your separate groups or in your own private time to do your study. Yes, Israel, also called Yeshurun. It's like a nickname, Yeshurun, code name for this song. So this female lead, Yeshurun, Yisrael, is betrothed to the leading man, the leading figure at least, the leading character, and that's Hatzur. He's got a name. It's really the Holy One, the creator of the universe, blessed be he. But he's given a code name too, just like Israel was given the code name Yeshurun as being the female lead. So in this great pilgrim song, this great opera of the end of the Torah, the Holy One is given a special name, Hatzur, the stone, the rock, the great rock overhanging cliff that shelters and shadows? Well, the betrothed of the Hatsur, the female lead is the betrothed of the Hatsur, the great leading man. But there is tragedy and trauma. Yeshurun, the leading lady, forgets who and whose she is. It's so sad. She wanders away then, and her curiosity gets the best from her about what's going on in the world. She loses her focus upon her bridegroom king, the great leading man, the Holy One, Hatsur, and she begins to wander away looking for love in all the wrong places. And she wanders away like a little girl Dina, or Dinah as she's called in the Western world, as Shakim. And she goes and she gets seduced by the false gods and the false prophets and the false leaders of the nation. She believes their ideological nonsense. She believes their politics. She gets all involved in that. She gets all caught up in it. She gets swept away by it. She's seduced by the false gods and the false prophets and the false leaders of the nations, the nations that rage and imagine a vain thing. That's the beginning. That's the sad part of the story. That's not how the story ends. That's how the song will quit. And now what's going to happen is that whenever she gets away, it's going to start out by getting worse. As she wanders away, she gets seduced by the false gods of the nations and the false prophets of the nations and the false leaders of the nations, then what you're going to find is that all the ethnicities, all the nations, all the peoples, all the economies, all the political systems, all the ideologies, and all the institutions of the nations, of the raging nations, will then take their turns spitefully using her, abusing her, trafficking her. It's the story of Hosea and Gomer. It's the story of Dinah and Shechem. It's the story of so many stories. You know the stories of the hostages, of the captives. She will be taken captive and she will be human trafficked like Joseph was. And she will be taken advantage of. Her weaknesses for sensuality and sentimentality and stroking and pseudo-intelligence and simulation and sorcery, curiosity. These things will be manipulated and used against her. Oh, it looks so sad. It looks so bad. It looks so hopeless. And these nations will take turns having their selfish, perverse way with her, inflicting their culture into her, their perversions upon her, and they will minimize her and minimalize her, and they will mock her, and they will make sport of her, and they will declare her to be the root of all evil because they have polluted her, perverted her. So they will hate her. And just as the nations prepare to kill her because she's now deemed to be the reason for all evil in the world, but just as the nations prepare to do their worst to her, out will step Hatsur, the leading man, the rock, the Holy One, the creator of heaven and earth. The Hatsur will step out of the wings at just the right moment, and he will leap into the fray to defend his beautiful betrothed bride. He will come forth with power, with majesty, and with strength, and he will rescue and redeem and restore. And boy, oh boy, will the nations and their gods and their prophets and their leaders and even Yeshurun herself have a surprise. Well, a surprise will be waiting for them from the hand of Hashem, of the hand of the Holy One, of the hand of Hatsur, when the curtain rises on the grand finale of the grand finale. Well, this is the song of the great Bema, the great judgment seat. And I call it, Let Joseph's Bones Arise. And I declare, according to the Urak, the Spirit, these bones can live. This is actually the model or the order of service for our Yom Kippur experience, by the way. So, the question on the table for this song, the question this song will answer is, what kind and value of covenant do we have with the creator of the universe? What is the nature of the relationship between the creator of the universe and Bnei Yisrael, the seed, the children of Israel, of this Yeshurun character in the great song? What level of covenant, what purpose of, what aspect, what elements, what nature of covenant is there exists, especially between the creator and this nation of Israel? It's a forever and a day covenant, and don't let the world forget it. Don't let us forget it either. It's a forever and a day covenant. It's a through it all and despite it all and against all odds covenant. It's an I am your God and you are my people covenant. It's a covenant that runs with the land and every land in which we go to, and through the seed and every generation of the seed that we produce. It is a covenant that has beauty and majesty, but also has conditions and, of course, flagrant, I should say, unrectified breaches of the covenant and conditions will lead to corrective doses of discipline, but they will never lead to rejection. They will never defeat or destroy or do away with or make obsolete the covenant. The covenant is sure. The covenant is secure. The covenant between Israel and the Creator and Israel is essential to the grand plan of redemption and restoration for all the world. So he will not let it fall, no matter how many corrective doses of discipline it takes to get us back to hearing the Pilgrim Song and responding to it and singing along. This is the essence of the commitment that the Holy One has to us, and that we, in our seed, in our DNA, in our neshama, have to him. So let all the prodigals and pilgrims of this earth know, and let all the nations and all the ethnicities and the people groups and the philosophies and the religious organizations of this world be warned. If you underestimate the depth of the commitment of the Creator to this people, and to the clearly stated objectives of the covenant as stated in Torah. If you underestimate the depth of this commitment, you do so at your peril. For further details, consider the book of Revelation, the book of Kohelet, Romans 9 through 11, and the book of Revelation. With that, let's sing our call to worship, and let's begin to dig into this song. This is the Baruch, the blessing before reading from the Torah. Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bakar Banu Mikol Ha'amin V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen. And now may you open our eyes, O Holy One, that we may see wondrous things in your Torah. For we are just strangers and pilgrims in this earth. So do not hide your instructions from us. The context of our song is that in Deuteronomy 31, 19 and 30, the Moshe said these things. Now therefore, write this shirah down for yourselves. Write this song down for yourselves and teach it to Bnei Israel. The Holy One speaking to Moshe, rather. Now therefore, Moshe, write down this shirah for yourself and teach it to Bnei Israel. Put it in their mouths, that this song may be a witness for me unto Bnei Israel. And then in verse 30 of chapter 31, he said, and Moshe spoke in the hearing of the whole assembled witness throng of Israel. Et divrei shirah, all the words of this shirah, of this song, and ad tamim, until it was complete and whole and perfect and finished. Now, this is the parsha of the song. I'll give you a 3-point outline of the entire parsha. The first 43 verses of this chapter of this parsha are the song itself, the grand prophetic anthem, Ashira Adonai, the song of the people of Israel unto the Holy One. The second portion of the second part of the outline of Ha'ezinu will be a final exhortation by Moshe himself to the people to embrace the Shema lifestyle, what has been talked about in the rest of the book of Torah, all that we've led up to this point. Embrace it, walk in it, choose it as your way of life. He's going to say things like, set your hearts on all the devarim, all the words. He's going to say things like, charge your children to treasure and cherish and carefully build into existence and function all the devarim of this Torah. This is the Shema lifestyle exhortation. And he's going to say, because it's not just mere words to you. It is hayechem. It is your, plural, lifeline. It is the lifeline by which you live. It is the air you breathe. It is the bread you eat. It is the food. It is the substance of your life. It is the purpose for which you were born. It is hayechim, your, plural, lifetime. And by it you will prolong your days in the land. That's the second section, the final exhortation to the Shema lifestyle. If you haven't chosen life yet, choose it now. And then the third, the final section of Ha'azinu, where we will end, is Moshe's final God encounter. Yes, Moshe's experiences as a prophet of the Most High began with a God encounter on Mount Sinai. They will end with a God encounter on the plains of Moab. And the voice of the Holy One will speak to him and says, climb this mountain. He sees a mountain beside him, Mountain Har Nebo, Mount Nebo. Climb this mountain of the Avarim, of the great ridge, the great heights. Climb this mountain of the great ridge, the great heights, Har Nebo, Ure'eh ha'aretz, and behold the land. Look at it. Drink it in with your eyes, with your soul. Umut bahar ata oleh, and then die on the mountain that you climb. Well, let's turn our attention now to the first section of this great parsha, which is the opera, the song of Moshe. Before we get to the call back to the live the lifestyle, Shema lifestyle, before we get to the final God encounter, we have the song. It's composed of 10 basic movements. The first part is going to be Moshe as the minstrel is going to call us to attention. Perk up your ears. Ha'azinu means to perk up the ears like a dog would perk up his ears to the sound of his master's voice. Perk up your ears. The minstrel's call to attention is verse 1. Then the minstrel is going to tell us why he's singing a song. That's verses 2 through 3. Then there's going to be his opening hymn. He's going to introduce us to the leading man. He's going to introduce us to the protagonist, the Hatzur, the great Holy One, creator of the universe. That's verse 4. Then he's going to read us the indictment. This is like the Yom Teruah, the Rosh Hashanah is called by many people today. The Yom Teruah liturgy is all about reading the indictment. What are the things that we could be judged for? What are the things that we as a nation or as individuals have done in violation of covenant? Where have we strayed from the covenant? Reading of the indictment, that's verses 5 through 6. Then there's a call to remembrance of who we are and where we came from and who we belong to, our relationship, our commitment, our devotion, our oneness with the Holy One, our inseparability from his call, the call to remembrance of what once was, verses 7 through 14. And then there's the description of the great breaking away that caused us to be separated and dissonant from the Holy One, and the resulting spiral of what took place in us and in the world around us by virtue of that great breaking away that we did, verses 15 through 18 of the psalm. And then there's the Holy One's explanation of the reason he had to give discipline. He had to impose disciplines because of the law of sowing and reaping. He had to let the law of sowing and reaping have its effect, and it worked its powerful effect upon us and drove us to desire to be prodigals returning home. And then there's in chapter verses 30 through 38, there's a day of mercy described, a day of mercy and redemption and return to favor. The prodigal coming home. And then there's the promise in verses 39 through 42, the promise to bring the great redemption we've longed for, we hope for, we've been awakened to by this song, to bring that redemption to pass. And then the final verse 43, is the exhortation of all peoples, of all nations, of all tongues, and all tribes, and all bloodlines, and all geniuses to come and join us in worshiping and praising and giving thanks and glory to the Creator of the universe. This hallelujah chorus at the end of the song, verse 43. Now, this is an epic literary tale. This is our story. This is our song. It's going to start with the Holy One, Moshe, calling the witnesses. Come gather round, people, like Bob Dylan back in the old days. Calling witnesses to gather. And who will be called as the witnesses? The heavens, Shemayim, Haaretz, on the earth. And these phrases should remind you of something. the in the beginning, on verse 1 of chapter 1 of Torah, Bereshit bara Elohim et Shemayim et haaretz. These are the two phrases that came out of the very beginning, from the eternal to the eternal. These are the witnesses. And there's so much more. I won't have time to go into the correlation between the opening parts of Genesis and this song, but he's going to begin this process of rain, introducing rain, and dew, and those phrases. Tal is dew, rain is matar, and these things have a very important meaning in the opening chapters of Genesis. He's going to use those phrases. He's going to then define the anticipated levels of impact. He's going to say, I want this to fall like dew upon the tender grass, and like showers upon the standing grain, which you can take and receive. Wherever you are, there's an anticipated level of impact upon your life that this song is supposed to have. Maybe gentle as dew for the young ones, for those who are just beginning this journey, but it may for those who are standing grain, waiting for the threshing to be harvested. There may be such deep levels of impact that it forever changes who you are, brings forth the best out of you, ripens the heads, the fruit in the heads. Well, then there's the third part of the song, is declaring the theme. Moshe will tell us theme, and then he'll introduce the hero and the heroine, the protagonist and the female lead, and he'll also tell how the relationship started, describing it in beautiful detail about how he found her in the vast tohu, the vast wasteland, in the barren wilderness, and he encircled her. And he led her about, and you'll see how the relationship began. That's the way the story unfolds, and what just awakens something in our spirit to hear about this beginning of the relationship. And then the next phase of the literary tale will be the lover's crucible, the places where the romance, the relationship, the purpose, calling was all challenged and seemed to be derailed. We have the origination and the evolution of the crisis and the tests of that either prove the relationship or the lack thereof. I call this the lover's cross area of the song, or some might call it the gauntlet area, where we went through the gauntlet to see if we truly loved the Holy One or knew what that even meant. Then toward the end, the turning point and the resolution via historic intervention and act by the Creator of the universe. He will act. He is the one who brings about the redemption. And finally, the epilogue, the poignant summation and stated conclusion, leading us to see the nations joining with us. That's the purpose of our calling in the first place. It's not just for us to enjoy a good life. It's for the world. It's for the nations. It's part of the grand plan of redemption and restoration. So, you need to know who the players are. There are certain characters in this great opera. The first one, he never mentions himself, is the narrator, the minstrel, the singer of the song. And it's Moshe, and he's just the messenger. You almost forget he's there, but he's the one telling the story and singing the song. That's the way a song should be. We should never point to the messenger. We should always point to the message. At any rate, after the narrator or minstrel character comes the two witnesses, Hashemayim v'haaretz. There's something about the heavens that are eternal, and they have ears, and they have a sense of hearing and sensation. There's vibrations that affect them and that they release back. And so this issue of the Hashemayim and haaretz is the same way. Haaretz, the land, the earth, has its own voice, its own sensations. It's not just an inanimate object in the Creator's eyes. It's a witness, a testimony. What is the earth saying to you today, these days? What is the condition of the earth and the climate saying to you? I'm not trying to get into some political issue. I'm trying to say, what do you feel? What do you sense in the air? Same thing with regard to what do you sense is happening in heaven? What are you senses being the tone and the sound of heaven? These are the witnesses. Are you listening to the two witnesses? The third character that we need to worry about is the leading man. That's Hatzur. That's the rock, the Holy One, the Creator of the universe. Blessed be He. And then there's the leading lady, which we've identified as Israel, or Yeshurun, the covenant people called together out of Israel, the seed of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. the example set for them by Joseph, to be like Joseph in the midst of the world who is full of the brothers. Yeshurun is the leading lady, and then there are the antagonists. Who are the antagonists? Who's causing all the trouble, or at least perpetuating all the trouble that unfortunately we sometimes cause as Yeshurun? Who's causing the trouble? Who's perpetuating the trouble? It's the antagonist. It's the goyim, the nations, the ethnicities, the cultures, the people groups of the world, the ideologies of the world, the goyim. These are the ones that we have to deal with. We have to navigate through. But they're also these nations, these antagonists, also the ones who are here, the audience for the song. The audience, the ones who are to receive the message and be uplifted and given health and hope by it, and also warnings if they will not receive it. So the goyim are the antagonists, and their gods. What are their gods? What are the gods of the goyim? The gods of the nations, the gods of cultures, the gods of ethnicities, the gods of people groups, the gods of ideologies, things that they fear. Listen to what a person fears or a group fears, and you will understand what their God is. Listen to what they promote and prioritize and think is most important, and you will understand what their God is. Listen to what they talk about all the time. What they always, this is a return to their default conversation thing. That's their God. Listen to what they get angry about or offended about or passionate about. That's their God. Listen to what that makes them creative. If they get creative, that is their God. Listen to what they value. They think is important, and they tell their children is important, and they promote it with their children. That's their God. And the gods of the goyim are antagonists, as the goyim themselves are. Doesn't mean we hate them. Doesn't mean we blame them. It means that we have to navigate and be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the song. It begins V'tishma. Well, it begins with the Ha'azinu, Hashemayim Ba'adabara. Your ears, perk up your ears, O heavens, and I will speak. V'tishma ha'aretz imre fi, and earth, tune into. Shema, get in resonance with the sayings, the words of my mouth. Call the witnesses, the declaration, and then the declaration of purpose. He says, I want to teach. I will teach to reveal an insight obtained under an artistic inspiration or a spiritual inspiration. It's that which we take away. I will help you take away something from what's happened to you. And it will be like the drops of rain, not matar. It will be like the distillation of dew, tal, mist from the night, from the verb meaning to overshadow, to cover. What comes out when the Holy One overspreads his wings over you? And then not only to teach, this is Moshe's purpose, not only to teach, but also to declare the future, to tell you your future, to remind you of your past and tell you your future. And so it's going to be make it be as cloud bursts, as pouring forth upon those who need it, as floodwaters for those who will not receive it, but yet carry the seed. So there are 4 basic anticipated levels or ripples of impact for Moshe for his song. He thinks he's going to infect people in 4 different ways, depending on how they receive it and what their level is when they hear it each year. Ya'aruf kamatar li'ki, my teaching, my artistry will trickle down like spring rain. Tizal katal imrati, and my sayings will condense in drops like the dew. Kizirim ale deshe, like a he-goat rolling around on the tender plants. Ve'hikirve, ale esev, like a shower of water, rain on the grass. And then he's going to go forward. I will declare and I will rehearse the attributes, the characteristics of the Holy One, of the Creator of the universe. Havu Godel Eloheinu, to praise the greatness, to ascribe greatness to praise the greatness of our God, our Sovereign. Hatzur, Tamim Ba'alo, the rock, his works, his actions, his behaviors are perfect and whole. Ki kol drakav mishpat et emunah. And all of his pathways, all of his actions, all of his directions are just and trustworthy and reliable. Ve'en avel, he is without any deviation or imbalance. Tzaddik ve'yasharhu, he is righteous in task, and on target, and constructive and productive in all things. And he is upright and straight in all things. So this is our tongue. Who is the Holy One to us? If we don't know who the Holy One is, if we don't have a sense of him being Hatsur, our rock, and that all his works are good, and that he does all things well, and that all his work, he makes all things beautiful in its time. If we don't know this about who he is, then we will get discouraged along the way. And we will get frustrated with ourselves and with other people. We will be offended. We will have fear. We will have worry, anxiety. We will have syndrome after syndrome after syndrome while we navigate around the nations, Hagoim, and their gods. We will have these syndromes unless we remember or can be awakened to remember he is our rock. His works are perfect and complete. He does all things well. He makes everything beautiful in its time. All his ways are just and true. Just and true are your ways, O Lord, for you are the King of saints. It's going to say in the book of Revelation, chapter 15, a God. He is a God of faithfulness to his covenant. What he said he would do, what he called forth from Abraham, he will call forth from each generation of the seed of Abraham. And he will call forth that in the nations as well as they respond. Hopefully faithfully, hopefully responsibly, hopefully favorably to the works and the actions and the presence of the seed of Abraham. We have to understand the Holy One is, he has no evel, no imprecision in him, no deviation from the standard of the covenant in him. He has no crookedness in him. He's not trying to fool us or deceive us. He is telling us the truth the way it is. He's giving us the true truth. And he is righteous. He is everything he does meets Tikkun Olam plan specifications. He doesn't do anything that won't accomplish the purpose. He's always focused upon the Tikkun Olam, healing of the world, fixing of the individual soul, Tikkun Nefesh, the healing of the individual heart and soul, and also Tikkun Olam, fixing of the world. That's what he's going, and everything he does is geared toward that. And he is straight and upright. He is on target, on task, on time, at all times. He is Yashar. So, his works are perfect. His paths are just and trustworthy. He is without deviation. He is righteous and upright. And then we have, after we talk about who he is, then who are we? And where are we at any given moment? That's when the indictment begins. That's when he reads the indictment. This is Yom Teruah. The time we read this every year is around Yom Teruah, the day of the decree of the indictment being read. Doesn't mean it's a final decree yet. We'll get that on Yom Kippur. But we have received the indictment. He says, Lo banav, you are not his children. You don't look like him. You don't act like him. You don't talk like him. You don't share his features. You don't wear his mark. You don't leave his patented Elohim signature. It's your footprint. Who are you? Because you don't look like a son, a child of the covenant, of the child of the Holy One. You are not his children. Lo banav. Mumam, Dor, Ikesh, Uf, Taltoi. You are warped. You're transformed. You've been polluted and perverted. You're a twisted generation. Now, this is his indictment, his rebuke, his Yom Teruah decree. But never, ever confuse rebuke from the Holy One with rejection. And never confuse discipline with punishment. And never confuse the strategic withholding of his face in his hand for a period of time for a strategic purpose with an abandonment. Remember the great connection. Remember how it all started. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask your father. He will show you. Ask your elders and they will tell you. When the Most High divided the inheritance to the nations. When he separated the sons, B'nai Adam, the sons of Adam. When he set the boundaries of the different people groups and ethnicities according to the number of the children of, he did so according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Holy One's portion is his people. And Yaakov is the place of his inheritance. He found him in the desert land, in the Midbar. Yes, you remember these words, these places. And in the wasteland, in the Tohu, and a howling wilderness, he encircled him. And he instructed him. He taught him the ways of life and health and peace, the more excellent ways. And he faithfully cherished, and he watched over him as the apple in his eye. And as an eagle stirs up his nest, he hovered over him, over its young, spreading out its wings, taking them up. He carried them on his wings. And so the Holy One shepherded him. He led him through the wilderness. And there was an Imo El Necher. There was not with him any visible image to be seen, but he was there. He made him made Yeshurun ride on the heights of the earth, and that he might eat the produce of the fields, and he made him draw honey from the rock and oil from the flinty rock. Oh, these words, oh, these phrases, oh, these lyrical songs. Curds from the cattle and milk from the flock, with the fat of lambs and rams of the breed of Bashan. Oh, remember Bashan? And goats with the choicest wheat, and you drank wine, the lifeblood of the grapes. But then there was the great falling away. Yeshurun grew fat and started kicking. Remember Shaul of Tarsus, kicking against the pricks. Yeshurun grew fat and kicked. You grew fat, you grew thick, you are obese, and you forsook God. You forsook the God who made you, and you scornfully esteemed the rock of your Yeshua, of your salvation, and you provoked him to kana, to passion, with foreign gods, and you, with abominations, you provoked him to displeasure and sadness, and bad feelings toward life. And the season of provocation, a negative, abrasive, irritating stimulus, you made it very difficult for him to keep focused upon the plan, but he will. Well, my time with you, unfortunately, has come to an end. It's just begun, the story of the Song of Moshe. This is the great story. We haven't got to the redemption sequence yet. We haven't got to the grand finale of the grand finale, when the nations join us in singing and praise unto the Holy One. We haven't gotten there yet, but I hope you will in your times of discussion around your own Shabbat tables, around your own meeting halls, around your own study versions. So blessed are you. Drop me a note. Let me know if you were with us for this last episode of A Few Quality Moments Around the Shabbat Table. And if so, where you are, may you be blessed. Shabbat Shalom. See you next year.